at capitalotb.com. A terrible story this week. 42-year-old jockey Renee Douglas was severely injured in a spill last Saturday at Arlington Park. Douglas underwent approximately 7 hours of surgery, but according to his wife, Natalie, it's too early to determine if Douglas will ever regain use of his legs. Douglas cannot feel or move his legs currently, but until the swelling goes down, doctors won't be able to determine the true extent of his injuries. In a related matter, jockey Jamie Theriot, who was riding in that race, has been suspended 30 days for his involvement in that accident. Theriot has appealed the ruling. And in a moment, we will be joined by our first guest, the national manager of the Jockeys Guild, Mr. Terry Meyocks. But Michael, what a terrible story.
I mean, this is horrifying, and I just feel so badly. I don't know Renee. I don't think I've ever met him, and he's a top-class rider. He's won the Belmont. He's run many Arlington titles. He won the DC International. He was dreaming of Anna's pilot. Yeah. And everyone is now just hoping that after all of this time under the knife, that the swelling on the spinal cord will go down, and hopefully his ability to walk again will come back. But it's, there's nothing happy about this. I mean, it's just terrible, terrible thing that has happened. And, we don't ever need these reminders about how dangerous it is. And I just, you feel awful from afar. And Renee, all of us in racing are hoping that this turns out right.
And joining us now to discuss this matter, the national manager of the Jockeys Guild, an old friend, Mr. Terry Meyocks. Terry, welcome back to Down the Stretch.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning.
Terry, I wish it were under better circumstances. Terry, the latest update on the condition of Renee Douglas?
I've talked to his wife several times this week and been texting her quite a bit, and I think he's shown improvement, but he's still got a long way to go. Our prayers and thoughts are with him and his family, and as well as Jamie Theriot and his family, because he feels terrible. What's happened and transpired this past week.
Terry, Renee is 42 years of age. He's a husband and a father of 3, and he now faces the possibility of partial paralysis. What will the Jockeys Guild be able to do to help Renee Douglas and his family?
Well, the one thing is, first of all, Renee's not a Jockeys Guild member, which is unfortunate, because he would have been, if he was out for a couple of years, he would have received temporary disability. And the reason he did, because of all the reason he left the Guild a year ago, was because of all the problems with the Guild the last 7 or 8 years. Yeah. And we terminated the health insurance, but we filed for bankruptcy, so we had to terminate the health insurance. So it's very difficult for jockeys to get health insurance on their own, or even as a group. For instance, we get $1 million from uncashed tickets in California. When I first got involved with the Guild a year and a half ago, we got turned down by 3 major carriers that they wouldn't take the coverage or even consider it, even with a guarantee of $1 million, because of the dangers of the profession and that they're independent contractors. So it's very unfortunate. It's very difficult for these riders to get insurance for them and their families. But what we've been doing, the Guild, since I've got involved, a year and a half ago, we went down to Miami Project. Johnny Velasquez, myself, Dr. Schumer, who is the medical director for Keeneland, and Nick Nicholson's been a major supporter of the jocks in the Guild and what we're trying to get accomplished. And open a dialogue with the Miami Project. And again, most of you people know in the Northeast, Kevin Everett with the Buffalo Bills. He was able to get a few things the first couple hours, a cold saline solution, which lowered his body temperature down to 92, 93 degrees. Also, I think he was given steroids to help him the first couple hours. So things like that we've been doing. We've developed a rapport with University of Kentucky brain and spinal research department, and we had this, with Keeneland, Johnny Velasquez, myself, Edgar Prado, Alan Garcia went and sat with them for 4 or 5 hours about the needs and the process and education, and we need to build awareness. We've tried to do it. The Miami Project a year ago had a conference went to the TRA conference, and had the same doctors that spoke to us spoke at the TRA conference. There needs to be more to be done. The industry needs to work together, and work on safety issues, not only for the benefit of the riders, but also exercise riders, assistant trainers, but we need to work together. Until we do that, we're always. But I think everybody knows that it's a dangerous profession, and we all know those things are going to happen. But if there's things that we can do all working together, just like, what might cost a little bit more money, but making sure a paramedic is there on site for mornings as well as training in the afternoon.
Yeah.
We had the model rules changed this past December with the racing commissioners. Now, it's a model rule. Nobody enforces it. But basically it says, you need to have a paramedic in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. And, we talked about the first aid, the ambulances, what hospitals you go to, and, trauma centers in case of this. And it's so very important those first couple hours.
Terry, is it unusual for a jockey of the status of Renee Douglas not to be a member of the Jockeys Guild?
Yeah, I would say that the top 95% of the riders throughout the country are members of the Guild. But again, it was 6 or 7 years of turmoil. When we filed for bankruptcy, that's negative. Well, you look at whether it be Delta or GM, everybody's is filed for bankruptcy these days. It seems like Naira, but that shouldn't be a negative. But people are just concerned. But hopefully, we've got just this past week, Jerry Bailey, and Pat Day, they're both back in the Guild as retired members, and they've been a very big help to us in, building awareness and of what we're trying to do as an organization. But we're also trying to work with the industry to help promote the industry, and I think the jocks could be a big help in doing that.
Terry, you have the permanently disabled Jockeys Fund. Talk about that to our audience for a moment. How many former riders are benefiting from that? And I assume because Renee is not a member of the Guild, he won't be able to benefit from that.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
The Permanently Disabled Jocks Fund, it's a different organization. It is a 501c3, I believe. But Nancy LaSalle out of Chicago, and Nancy. So most people do not know Nancy, but the first year and a half that I got involved with the Guild, she's been my backbone and savior, and she does it. Up until 2 months ago, she has done this for free, and she's got another job. But her husband's a jockey in Chicago, Jerry LaSalle, but she's great. There's 60 permanently disabled jockeys that got the approval. There's so many things that you have to do to become a permanently disabled, and there's 60 of them. Now, basically, what that does, that's for Guild members and non-Guild members.
Okay.
And Ron Turcotte, Gary Berzer, Gary Donahue, Rudy Bays. There's some, but Ron Turcotte is one, and Andrew Lakeman is just in the process of getting on the 60 things members. But she takes care of them, and the Guild also takes care of them too, if they're Guild members in other ways. To pick up some of the costs. But it takes about $65,000 a month to take care of these people and their needs. They get about $1,000 per month, but it's very difficult, to be honest with you.
Terry, you mentioned Jamie Theriot being quite distraught about this. Have you spoken to Jamie?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think just as much as or more than Renee's wife. But
Terry, do you as a guild, do you as an organization from time to time correspond with your members and say, look it, ladies and gentlemen, we understand this is competition. We understand this is the way you make your living, but please be careful out there?
Well, I think everybody knows that. Everybody knows it's a danger. And I saw the head on, and 40 or 50 times I watched it. But that's, if you go to any racetrack in America, that type of situation that riders are going to be in, as they were that day, you're going to see it 8 or 9 times at each racetrack in America. And it's a dangerous profession. You look at the head-on to that horse that Renee was on, helped contribute to it when she put her head up, and he lost control of the horse. There's other things that could have contributed to it than just Jamie, but every rider knows. You look at, they know that when they go out there each time, it is a danger. They could be in, at risk. But we need to do more, and what we've done. The one thing that's probably saved Renee, what I've been told the last few days, is his helmet. Okay, and he's wearing a Japanese helmet, which can't get approval, doesn't meet the standards of the ARCI, the model rules. But that helmet, and we've got, just in this last December, we've been able to change the wording and allow other helmets, the Australian, New Zealand types, the UK standards, to be accepted. The same thing, we can do more. We're working with NASCAR people and coming up with a new prototype of helmets, Bill Simpson Impact. And when we took one of the helmets